I guess we're back. Welcome back, alchemists. This is wealth principle number 12. Well, welcome back to the 52 weeks of wealth. We've been on this journey for a little while now. And if you've been in Alchemist Nation, you know this is actually season number 4. So this is 4 years we've been running the 52 weeks of wealth. These were designed to put more money in your pocket. Hence, camera, if you are looking to make more money this year, making them more money, and do less work. Hence, camera, trying to do less work while we're making that money. Excellent. So we're investors. Most of us are actually real estate investors, real estate entrepreneurs, real estate business owners. And the reason that we do this call is to intentionally double our net worth and double our income. Now, there are 52 wealth principles. There are 52 weeks in the year. What we actually had to do, there was over 104 principles. We just dialed them down. And today you're talking about a wealth principle that actually has 3 components to it. Wealth principle 12 is alleviate a frustration that is experienced by a large enough group of people who are willing to pay you what you're worth. And so before we dive into the principle, Stephen, can you give us a couple of reasons why this is so important?
Absolutely. All right, Alchemist Nation, let me ask you a question, maybe a few. Do you have trouble finding clients around people that pay you less than you're worth? Well, this is just people that don't even know what you're worth. These are things that we've got to solve. Otherwise, we're just wasting our time. But with Walter, let's get ready for money. Everybody get a big hand for Walter Amarello.
Thank you, Stephen. We're going to work on that introduction. I got confused. I got lost. But I do know that people who don't work with the right challenges end up without money. Has anybody ever not had money at some point in their life? Been in a point of pain, of lacking capital? What about knowing a skill? Who here is really talented, really good at what you do, really, really smart, really talented? Hands to camera if you're smart, talented, know what you're doing. Just a few of you. Okay, the rest of you, we'll work on that at some point. You're talented, you know what you're doing, and have not had money. Isn't that confusing? They said to you when you went to school that if you went to school, you'd get a job, you'd make a lot of money, right? Hands to camera if you were told, go to school, get a job, right? Buy a house, get married, white picket fence, game 1, right? You'd win the game of life. Well, we've discovered now, many of us are old enough to have discovered that that is not the truth. In fact, it doesn't matter how smart you are, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are. What matters is that there's somebody willing to pay you. Who here's done a lot of work for somebody else and not gotten paid? Anybody work for free before? Done that? All of us, maybe a little too more than we like to admit, right? So this wealth principle is going to solve that problem for you. We're going to go into how to make sure that you never work for free without a understanding of where the money's coming from, and are working for the right people who actually value your time. Who here's tired of being used and abused by other people who don't value their time? Excellent. Well, this wealth principle is designed to stop that. Now, the wealth principle is only as good as the implementation that you put behind it. Who here has gotten great information and not applied it before, and then their life continued to suffer to the extent that they applied? So and very clear, if you take action on this principle, you will never be taken advantage of by another human being again. But to the extent that you understand it and put it into work, results may vary. Hence the camera if you commit to understanding this principle so that you never get taken advantage of again in the future. Excellent. Awesome. So let me know if you can see the screen. Put your hand to the camera as soon as it's available to you. And if I don't see your hand, I'll know it's not working. So 3, 2, 1. Can you see on the screen? Excellent. This is the wealth principle. You might want to take a screenshot. It's a big one. You may want to make a post on social media about this, because we're going to be diving into something that every single human being does suffer from. Everybody on the planet has been taken advantage of, especially if they work a job. But they made the contract and they agreed to that. So where are my entrepreneurs at? Before we dive into this, entrepreneurs, this one's really for you. People who own their own business, real estate investors. Anybody a real estate investor? Anybody on this call invest in real estate? Oh, most of you. Excellent. What about people who work for somebody else? Anybody work for somebody else on this call? Excellent. Are there people on here who have not raised their hand yet? Throw your hand to the camera if you've not raised your hand for any of these. Awesome. Just checking to see if you were out there. So the alleviation part, 3 components. First is frustration. So we must alleviate a frustration. Who here's had pain in their lives? Who here's paid for that pain to be solved? Pain solved. All right. So we all go through components in our lives where we pay for a solution. Each one of us actually does pay for right now a problem that we forget about often. And it's actually the most expensive problem in the world. And that problem is housing, right? Every single one of us is paying something for the place, the roof over our head, the walls around us. That is in every American and every civilization all across this world, the most expensive part of your income. It is where all of your money goes. It's 1/3 to 1/4 of your income. And people who are really dumb, really financially poor or broke or struggling are paying 50% of their income to housing. Hands can if you can see how that would be a problem. That means the other 50% is food and fun, which, you know, that isn't as much fun, and you're not eating the best food if you're paying all your money to housing. And you still got, in America anyway, you're paying 1/3 to 1/4 of your money to the government. Hence the camera, if you do pay taxes. Just making sure somebody on here has figured out how not to. Welcome to the club. A few of us are not paying taxes, although I did pay a little bit to Massachusetts this year. The federal government, no, but yes to the state of Massachusetts, which, by the way, Ron, if we can shift our company to Florida, that would have saved me all the money I had to pay Massachusetts, which, let's think about that. We'll make that consideration. So we're gonna do an exercise, which we do every week. And as we kind of go through this one, I want you to think about a problem that's expensive. Oh, by the way, the problem I'm talking about is housing, right? The housing problem. We're all real estate investors. And so we solve a problem, the lack of housing or the location of housing. So I've moved to different locations because they were faster for me to get to my job or workplace. So a lot of components to real estate are location, location, and location. Hence, Karen, if you're aware that location is the most important part of real estate. It's the reason a person will move there. It's the reason a person will leave there. Location itself cannot be changed. Proximity to employment, proximity to hospitals, proximity to an airport, proximity to entertainment, and proximity to good education are the reasons, are the problems that we're solving, right? They're the frustrations that get created. Has anybody ever had to, and I was just thinking about this really quick, ever had to drive more than 20 minutes to their job? Has anybody ever had to drive more than 20 minutes to work to make money? Okay. What about those super commuters, the ones who've driven an hour to work consistently for years? Awesome. One, let's give you a big round of applause. That was a frustration, wasn't it? That frustration was solved by either two things. Either you moved or you changed a job. Hands can if you did one or the other. You moved or you changed a job. Excellent. Who's still doing that commute? Anybody? Crazy. All right. Awesome. So we've moved on. So in a market where there's a lot of lack in housing, we're going to see a stronger demand. This is a frustration. This is a frustration caused by the marketplace. And we want to see demand in order for us to invest. If there isn't demand, the prices go down, and it's also harder to rent to. So we're looking for pain points in a marketplace. Pain points might be good signs of a pain point are prices on the rise. That means there's more opportunity for us to go in and shift things, for us to make a profit, because some homeowners may not know, that's why I buy off market, may not know that the market has gone up as much as it has. Also, there's a chance that we can make more money on our flips. Chance can if you've done flips before. Where are my flippers at? Rehabs, renos. What about flipping contracts? Where are my wholesalers at? Excellent. What about realtors? Chance can if you got a license, real estate license. You're doing the same thing. You're transacting real estate in a market where prices are going up. So just think about the frustration you're alleviating is that people don't have housing. So number two, I'm sorry, of this principle is experienced by a large enough group of people. This is where most people fail. Most people who would be rich fail at the large enough group of people. See, I've seen this, and maybe you've seen this, is somebody comes to you with an idea. I get this all the time. I get entrepreneurs all the time. Oh, I got this idea. It's going to make a lot of money. Cool. Have you ever done it before? Well, I've done it a little bit. Excellent. Awesome. How big is the market? How big is the market? How many people are in your market that have this problem? Oh, there's a lot of people. Prove it. Show me. Where are these people? How do you know that there are people who have this demand? Hence, Cameron, if you've had this problem where you got a great idea, but nobody wanted it. You found out later on, right? The way you solve this is you sell the idea before you build or create it. It's one of our wealth principles. Go and sell the idea, sell the concept, sell the idea with a picture, with an image, with a story, with a brochure, and then find out if they even want it. Do a question, right? Go out and questionnaire a bunch of people and find out if there's demand in the marketplace. But I don't trust people until money has been transacted, right? I don't trust people if they would buy my book until they have pre-ordered my book. If they don't pre-order the book, I'm not writing the book. That's if you understand what I'm talking about. Doesn't make any sense, right? I'll tell you how I learned this lesson. Very expensive. And take notes if you ever want to write a book. Here's a very expensive lesson to me. It cost me 6 months of my time to write this book. This book, by the way, was what I thought the world needed. And I'll read the title to you, and you tell me, you might think the same thing. It said, Real Estate Alchemists Get the Deal, the underground playbook for finding motivated sellers, evaluating real estate properties, and closing more real estate deals in your market. Hands to the camera if you'd like to do all of those things, right? Okay, 3 of you. Never mind. All right, I'll move to a different example. Hands to the camera if you'd like to have off-market properties, off-market deals in your market. No shit, right? Every real estate investor ever is like, yeah, that's exactly what I need. But when you write a book this thick, 300 pages on all the strategies on how to do it, the book doesn't sell because the people who say they want deals don't actually want deals. They're afraid to buy deals because they don't have the money. Hands to the camera if that's really the truth. Yep. Interesting. I knew something that everybody else didn't know. I knew that in order to get the money, you need to have a deal. Where are my deal finders who know that to be true? My capital raisers know you need a deal to raise capital. Awesome. Excellent. So we knew that. I knew that. So I wrote the book based on that knowledge. The truth is, everybody really thought that money was the problem. So they weren't at the place where they needed the deal. This making sense? I thought the market experienced the frustration. I misinterpreted the frustration of the marketplace, when in reality, if I did a course on how to raise private capital, everybody would show up to that course. Hence, Cam, if you'd like to learn how to raise $1 million in 30 days. Really? True, huh? I wrote this book, Names on Deeds, which shows how to do that. And you're right. That's exactly what the marketplace wanted. And this book has sold like crazy because it's what the market actually wanted, not what I thought they wanted. And there was a large enough group of people. By the way, all real estate investors across the country are looking to raise capital right now. Every single real estate investor across the country is saying, I don't have the money. I don't know where the money is. How do I get the money? And the answer is simple. I say the same thing every single time I talk to somebody. Then when they're like, okay, like, well, where do I get the private money? Well, you call the people that you know. Well, I don't know anybody with money. That's the problem. Yes, I understand. Now you've got to build a network of people who have money. Hence, Cameron, if I've said this to you before, right? You need a network of people who have money in order to have access to capital. This concept is very simple. And we spend a lot of time in the Recession Proof Challenge teaching our community how to raise relationships, how to build and grow and put seeds in the ground. And then before you know it, those people who have money are like, hey, you know what? I trust you. I know you. I like you. I trust you. The concept is so simple that everybody messes it up. You ever see this before in your life? Right? Something so simple that people mess it up. So what is a experience? What is a problem that more people are experiencing right now in this country and during a recession? Lack of money. True or true? Right? During a recession, what do they experience? Lack of money. That's the problem. That's the big problem that we're facing in any kind of economy where people are scared about money, where they're losing jobs, right? Where things are going up, where inflation is happening. So I want you to think about now, what is something you can do in this marketplace that won't cost a lot of money, but will get a lot of money towards you, right? If we know, by the way, we've done the math already. We know that the only way to gain capital is to network, is to gather a network of people who have capital. So we can do this math in our fucking heads because we're Alchemist Nation. We're smart as shit. So we know that if the way to raise capital is to surround yourself with a bunch of people who have capital, and we also know that the world is suffering from a lack of capital, or a perceived experience of a lack of capital, because, by the way, they printed $3 trillion extra dollars. So there's no shortage of the stuff. It's just that a perception of it. The path to serving this marketplace right now might be to gather people together. It may be to network the wealthy with the people who are not so wealthy. Network the people with the time with the people who have the money. And so Alchemist Nation's been focused on creating networking events. But we have a challenge. It takes human beings. It takes a pulse. It takes being able to fog a mirror in order to run a local event. Hands to the camera if you understand this is something you could do. You're qualified. Yes, you're very specially equipped with this one skill set that the machine that is Alchemist Nation may be missing, is the person in place. Experienced by a large enough group of people. My God, there are so many people right now who want to learn about real estate. So many people right now who want to learn on how to do this. And they have the capital. They just need that person to hold them together in a room to learn about it. So just think about that. So here's the last part. Who are willing to pay enough to make it worth your time. Who are willing to pay enough to make it worth your time. I don't like working with wholesalers for one very specific reason. I'm not interested in buying real estate this year. Me personally, for the next 2 years, I'm committed to building this network, to building your relationships, to building your network. Here's the confidence level that I have, the insanity behind this. I can build your network for the next 2 years, which means your network is my network. And in 2 years from now, I can buy all the real estate that I want. I'll buy $5 billion worth of real estate over the next 5-6 years by spending 2 years building my network. Hence, if you understand how insane and how obvious that is, how insanely obvious it is that if I build my network for 2 years straight, hardcore, all I do is build your network, which builds my network. In 2 to 3 years, I can start buying $1 to $2 billion of real estate per year based on our relationships together. But if I just try to buy real estate for the next 2 to 3 years, I will do like every other person on this planet has done who's tried to get into real estate. I'll probably buy $10 to $40 million worth of real estate over the next 3 to 5 years. Hands care if you understand the difference, the power of a network, going wide with a network, going really deep with a network. So the challenge that we're facing with this wealth principle is who are willing to pay enough to make it worth your effort. The network you want to build are not broke people. The network you want to build is not based on how to find money. The network you want to build, and write this down if you're a capital raiser, if you're somebody looking to help people in a time where money is a little tight, the network you're looking to build are people who have the problem of too much money, have the problem of too much money, don't know what to do it, don't know who to trust, don't know what asset class to invest in, don't know where to connect with the people who can be trusted, looking for a network of people they can gather information from, looking for information, looking for a little bit of accountability, looking for a little bit of networking. Hence, if you're understanding what we're talking about. This is why we build the business and real estate professionals networks across the country. This, by the way, let's give Doreen a big round of applause. We have 31 events running right now, every single month. 31 events in this country, 15 in Florida, which did not exist 30 days ago. It's insane. By the end of this month, we'll have 25 locations, new locations opened in Florida. And by the end of this month, we'll have 20 opened in Texas. We're growing exponentially because the only thing, we finally got to the point where the only thing we needed was a body in the room, a host. If you think of us as like a symbiotic relationship, we were looking for a host body to be in the room and have a tablet. Now, what's cool about this is it pays very well. We're drawing the people to your event. We're drawing the community in, but it does take a human being to care about the other person, to build that real connection. And as long as you stick to the names and the marketing strategy that we've put together, the people who come to the room are people who either have money, will have money, or have a deal. Hence, Karen, if you could spend time with those people once a month and be okay, probably build a decent network. Now, if you think you're doing decent or okay, think about what I'm doing. My goal is to have 300 cities dominated by Alchemist Nation within the next 365 days. That means 300 cities, one city has to be opened every single day over the next entire year. The only way to do that is through an insane viral commitment from not just me, but my team and each one of you, which comes from build 100 millionaires. So 100 of us build 3 locations, that's 300 cities. Hence, if you're catching the math. Now, each one of these locations pays about $50,000 in year 1, but they double in year 2. And in year 3, they mature to pulling in $150,000 to $200,000 a year. The challenge is most entrepreneurs can't commit to 3 years. Who here knows shiny object syndrome is a real thing? This squirrel bullshit, right? This gold was a goldfish stuff happens to all these entrepreneurs. They get into something, then they bump against one little wall, and they change to a different industry. I see it all the time with wholesalers. They come in, they say, I'm wholesaling in this market. They hit a couple walls and they shift markets. And then they shift markets. And then before you know it, this wholesaler is a national wholesaler. Hands can if you've seen this before in the wholesaling real estate space. Oh yeah. But in real estate, we know the successful ones. Where are my millionaires at? Hands camera if you're a millionaire, multimillionaire. Excellent, excellent. If your hands aren't up, I know who you are anyway. These men and women have learned location, location, location. They stick to one strategy in one location that they're very good at. Larry Steinhaus, subject to Pennsylvania. That's his jam. Crushes it. Absolutely slays it. He's the authority in the market. Right? Mike Shine crushes multifamily in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, but specifically where his partners are. Mike will only invest where his partners are. He even has deals in Florida. His strategy is partner with somebody, bring the money. Me and Ron, one city, Fall River, Massachusetts. We just hyper-focused, crushed it, got to 100 units. Down, then we got down to 42 units, and we sold down to 12 units. Then we built back up to 55 units. Now we're down to 43 units, and our goal is to get down to 15 units by the end of this year. And then by the end of next year, we should be completely out of units and only invested passively in other people's deals. I'm following the Mike Shine principle. He's a little older than me, but he's smarter than me. Hence, if you understand, you got to follow the people who know what they're doing. Well, he's aged. Okay, Mike, you're maybe not smarter, but you're more intelligent, more wiser than me. You've been married longer than me. You got more kids than me. You got, I would say, more wealth than me, more passive, more liquid wealth than me, because my stuff's all tied up in assets. Hence, if you've been there before, you know that the wealthy, their stuff's tied up in assets. Oh yeah. So you got to be patient with us, right? You got to be patient. Me and Mike were talking yesterday on Be the Bank. We were talking about how money's, it's locked in over here. We want to be more lenders, but you got to move the money. This goes back to who are willing to pay enough to make it worth your effort, suffering, the affliction, and our people. This principle, and Lou says, I amplify syndication. He's texting me in the chat. Absolutely, brother. And I want, look, 2023 is going to be a hell of a fucking year. This is going to be the banger year. This is the year to explode. Live events, everybody's popping up live events all across the country because COVID knocked everything out, right? 2 years, all live events got shut down. All of our competition got wiped out in COVID. 2 years, wiped every single live event out. Now, National RIA is half the size it used to be, right? All these beautiful people who've been building millionaires this entire time for the last 20 years, shutting their doors. The gap is opened and we need to step in, because if we don't, somebody else will, and they won't have the systems that we have. Hence, if you know, Alchemist Nation is a technology company also. We're a relationship-based technology company. These other people doing these little pop-up meetups, they last, Mitch Jorsky's seen it, they last 2-3 months and they're gone. All the people who were coming to those networking events completely dropped, not taken care of. They're not building millionaires. They do networking events just for business. They do networking events just to make money. But some of us are coaches. Some of us, like, Larry Steinhaus does his events because he's a coach. He wants to build millionaires. Steve Bieber is a coach, wants to build millionaires. Mitch Jorsky's a coach. He is an author, and he wants to build millionaires, right? Mike Shine wrote the book, Millionaire. What is the name of the book? Fast Track to Millions, right? Wants to build millionaires, how to profit through partnerships. Each one of us has a reason to do this. Our hosts, all of our hosts. Hence the camera if you're a real Alchemist Nation host. Where are you at? They're our hosts. Let's give our hosts a big round of applause. Each one was committed to build 100 millionaires. That's our mission. Each one of our hosts, our leaders, committed to building 100 millionaires. Wealth Principle 12 reaches out to the mission of Alchemist Nation right now. Solve the problem experienced by a large enough group of people who are willing to pay you what you're worth. The 7 different streams of income on our live events. 7 streams. On our Wednesday night at 5 o'clock, I'll talk about what those are. I'll go into the details on those 7 streams. But for everybody who has decided that this is the year you become a millionaire, you can do it through enough live events. Each one of our events within 3 months can be sold for 50 grand. As long as you're bringing 20 to 30 people per month for 3 straight months, you can sell for 50 grand. Now, if 2 years later, as long as you brought in 500 people per year for 2 years, you can sell that event, wait for it, for $500,000 to $750,000. Hence, Cam, if you understand now the value of a database and a network and a tribe and a community, that's what we're building. It actually has a monetary value because people are so important, right? People think that money is important, right? We know, by the way, hence Cam, we know money is important, right? But they think that because we think money is important, that we don't value people. When in reality, we know the secret to wealth is value people, and it brings us money. The more we value people, deeper value, and the more people we value, the more money we have, which is why this principle is so focused on the amount of people. Actually, let me show you really quickly what Alchemist Nation is actually doing to grow. And this, by the way, I give a lot of credit to our team, and Darina especially. She runs a lot of this. So Alchemist Nation is growing for sure. We separated Florida into 3 categories, and we're looking for leaders now in the North, the Central, and the South. There are 13 locations in South Florida, all around Miami. There are 9 locations, 9 major cities with over 100,000 population in the central part of Florida. And then up in northern Florida, between Jacksonville and Tallahassee, there's only 2 major cities, but there's over 2 million people in this northern Florida area. And so we're looking to put 25 major cities to be Alchemist Nation cities, 3 events in each major city. That's 75 events in Florida. Hence, Karen, if you understand, we're already doing it. We got 15 locked down. So let's give our Florida hosts a big round of applause. They're expanding. Gary Aker, who is logged in under his wife's account, is crushing the central market, and we're looking for somebody to take over south for us. And I think David Mulvaney is going to take over the north. Texas, next biggest state. These are the real estate states, my friends. This is where you've got to own your event. If you don't own something in one of these states, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. 37 major cities, 20 of which are right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. Super concentrated. The other ones are spread out across the other 3 major categories. But 20 are right here in Dallas-Fort Worth, with Austin and San Antonio being the next biggest market and Houston following. And then this out here is the west side is just a much bigger, more spread out, more difficult market to dominate, but it will be taken over by somebody very soon. Hence, camera visual is much better than just talking about it. We're literally taking over states, like literally going in and saying, these people are ours. This is our tribe. This is our community. New England, we've already got, I think, 15 events happening in New England. We're at 31 events. So it's 16 events happening in New England where we started. And that's now expanding because our team back in New England is taking over more and serving at a higher level. And they're increasing the amount of money that they're making because of the sponsorships, because of the programs that they're selling, because of just adding value. Agents are making more commissions because the buyer buys and buys and buys and buys, hyper buyers, instead of buying one house every 7 years. But I'll talk about that Wednesday. So that being said, every week, every principal has a book, a really powerful book. And this book was actually recommended to me by a billionaire recently. Vinny Chopra said this book was a game changer for him. And then the gentleman who we're writing a book for, who his net worth, or the biggest company he built, I think was $500 million, $500 million what he sold his company for. He said this book is the book he gives to everybody when he coaches them, when he takes them into consultation. He says, this is the book. So without further ado, Michael Shine, do you mind sharing the book of the week? Let's give Mike Shine a round of applause. He's the holistic attorney. He's the closer. He is the keeper of the books. Michael Shine, you're up, brother.
Thanks, Walter. Sort of strange because I feel like we talked about this book last week, even though it wasn't the book of the week. This is the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, and it is such a good book. I know we definitely chatted about it. It's anybody who's starting a business or is in a business, oftentimes it's because they're a technician. They're good at whatever they do, selling widgets or making a widget, but that doesn't mean that they actually know how to run a business. And that's the myth. And E stands for entrepreneur. So it's the myth that you think that just because you can create a product or sell a service that you can actually have a business that works. And this book is, I understand why all these people give it out, because it's the most important book. I talked about it before. It's Michael Gerber talks about the McDonald's model, where you assume that you're going to have 5,000 outlets. And if you plan your business with the idea that you're going to have 5,000 outlets, you will act very differently than if you open a little mom and pop store, because you're not going to be making Big Macs in Washington, California, Rhode Island, Florida. You would have to figure out systems, and you'd have to make them work so that anybody anywhere, if you go to San Diego and you get a Big Mac, it's the same Big Mac that if you get in Maine. So, and that's all based on systems. And that's why this book is so amazing. McDonald's figured out a way that they could train, 16-year-old kids to make the same exact quarter pounder with cheese. And so it totally changes your mindset about how you create your own business. And that's why it's just so valuable. It could be one of the foundational 5 if we were leaning towards like an entrepreneurial foundational 5. It's an amazing book. Get the E-Myth Revisited. Even though it says revisited, it is the original. Start with this one first before you go on to the E-Myth for the real estate investor or the E-Myth for the entrepreneur. This is the OG, and it is great. That is the book of the week. Thank you.
Let's give Mike Shine a round of applause. I love that, because my next step is to say, get the E-Myth for the real estate investor, or if you're an agent, get the E-Myth for real estate agents. The one for real estate investors was actually done by Than Merrill, and the audio version is actually Than Merrill, like on the audio. I will say that Michael Gerber's voice is like so annoying as he gets older, but it's really great on Revisited. So the audio version of Revisited is Michael Gerber, great voice there, but as he gets older, it's very raspy and tough to listen to. So I skip his chapters on the Than Merrill books. But the other thing I listened to this morning, I listened to the final chapter. I finished it this morning, this book. And what he said in this book right at the end is that people think that there's big problems in the world. Hence, Karen, if you acknowledge there are some big problems in the world, there may be some things out there that are large. And he said, and people will say, we're going to go change the world. And then they don't do the one thing that it takes to change the world. This is the last chapter. You can go back and listen to it in the E-Myth. It's 15 minutes. And he said, they don't do the one thing that it takes to change the external world. They don't do the internal work, because we can't change the outside until we've changed the inside. And what changes the outside is our business, the business we choose to grow, the business we choose to be in, the business we choose to expand will be dictated by our mindset, by what is happening inside our heads. And so the business, what we push out into the world, the marketing we push out into the world, right? The product, the services we push out into the world will be dictated by what's going on up here. And how many people you serve, how big and how far and how wide you serve will be dictated again by what's going on in here. So if there's a change, and this is what he said, if you believe that the world is fearful, the world will be fearful, because your product will make them that way. If you believe the world is greedy, the world will be greedy to you, because the product, the services that you serve and offer will create that type of client for you. If you believe that the world is abundant and people are great and people want to support and help each other, guess what? You'll have a business that attracts people who are abundant, great, supportive, and help each other in your business. Hence, Karen, if you're committed to creating the right business this year, just expanding the right business this year, right? I'm telling you exactly what I'm doing. I'm being very honest. As a real estate investor, I'm telling you, I'm not buying anything for 2 years. I'm not, don't do what I'm doing. I'm just saying I'm expanding my network for 2 fucking years. That's what I'm going to do. And I'll monetize my network. I'll monetize my relationships by helping my network. That's it. I'm going to serve the people that I work with by expanding their networks. Hence, Karen, if you understand the power in this, I can do whatever I want 2 years from now, as long as I serve enough people to get them what they're looking for. And right now I see the world needs people. The world needs the right connections. It needs the right relationships. In order to build millionaires, we have 3 steps to build millionaires. 3 steps. That's it. Right. First, we gather people together around the concept and idea of becoming a millionaire. That's step 1, necessary for the whole process. Step 2, We inform them with how to do real estate investing. We inform them on how to sell and scale and market to do real estate at a better level, and how to negotiate and how to do all those transactions. That's what Names on Deeds is all about. In step 3, we hold them accountable until successful. That's it. That is the millionaire building process. Hands to the camera if you understand. It is that simple, right? We keep pumping up their network so they have the right people around them. We keep pumping up their knowledge so they have the right knowledge around them. And we keep pumping in that accountability to make sure that they keep showing up. That's what you do as a leader. That's your mission. And Alchemist Nation, in order to build 100 millionaires, by the way, hands to camera if you committed to building 100 millionaires. This is how you do it. You follow Wealth Principle 12 all the way through for the rest of the year until rich. Solve the frustration in the marketplace. Right now, it's not having enough people. It will be this way for the next few years. Solve this problem, you get rich. To the extent that you do not solve this problem, you will see the results in your life. Who has already seen that? You know, whenever you didn't have people around, you didn't have options. The more people you have around, the more options you have. The less things seem to cost, the more things are available. It's a very funny world that we live in. Mitch Jorsky, do you have a quote, a special rap quote that you could wrap around this principle?
I always have quotes. I don't know if they're always rap quotes, but there's always quotes.
And for anybody who doesn't know, Alchemist Nation has been doing this for 4 years, right? We're literally in the middle of year number 4, season 4 of the 52 Weeks of Wealth. And from the very beginning, Mitch Jorsky has provided a rap quote almost religiously every single week. So let's give it up for Mitch Jorsky, the Scaredy Cat Guide to Real Estate Investing, the author of the book, the website, and the calculator. Mitch, go ahead, brother.
Yes, we definitely take weeks off from the rap quotes. Like a rapper does, you know, when you ever go to a hip hop show and like the dude doesn't show up for like 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes not at all. I went to see Wu-Tang once, only like 4 of them showed up.
I grew up in rock. They always show up on time. So
this is true. Anyway, yeah, I mean, there's a quote I always like to kind of go back to. And then after that, I'm actually going to paraphrase Jay-Z. So both things are from Jay-Z. It would be a Jay-Z day. But one of my favorite songs at the beginning of it, he literally just has a random dude talking about just, you know, the hustle and, you know, and the work. And, you know, in order to fulfill a need that's out there, right, you got to recognize it and you got to be put in the work, right? So if you're not keeping your like eye on the prize, so to speak, you're not going to see those opportunities. So really, all the dude said that always stuck with me was, he said, the key to all this is to stay busy, stay working, treat everything like when you were an intern. And that always grabbed a hold of me because I'm like, you know what? No one grinds like they do when they're in an internship. You're young, you're hungry, you're working for free, right? But you're just grinding, right? And all you see is the future, you know, in front of you, as opposed to when you get older and you're just like, man, I don't want to do this shit. It's not going to pay me for a while, blah, blah, blah. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to attack these opportunities. And also in order to recognize, you know, these opportunities, you need to keep your finger on the pulse, right? So stay busy, stay working, and just, you know, have that vibe like when you were an intern. So to kind of shift gears, last week, Walter was FOMOing the crap out of everybody talking about the mentorship coming back. Rumor has it the cat's going to be doing some teaching again. Well, apparently that's not going to be happening until like maybe May. But for those that know me, hello again. For those that don't, I want to paraphrase a Jay-Z quote, and I think Eric's going to know this one. So I'm going to say, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Cat, C to the A-T. I teach real estate like it's crazy. Oh, I'll be the real estate student's #1 supplier. So basically, we're going to get back to teaching real estate, right? There's a lot of people that want to know real estate. We don't have that direct, just real estate only kind of thing going on anymore. And Walter will talk more about that later in the month. We're going to launch it in May for anyone that's looking to jump into a mentorship, learn about real estate. So I got basically 3 questions for everyone. And the first is, do you even know what type of real estate investor you are? If the answer is no, you might want to be in a mentorship. Do you know how to find your market? Do you know what your market is? If the answer is no, you might want to be in a mentorship. And most importantly, do you know how to underwrite deals? Do you know how to run the numbers? Do you know what a good deal looks like? And if you're not super confident in that answer, you might want to be in a mentorship. So that, again, I don't think Walter's launching till May. So what I'm going to do, and I think he's cool with it, is to sharpen the saw a little bit, which is another wealth principle. I'm going to coach someone one-on-one starting next week until we get to this mentorship. And I'm going to charge the same price as what he's going to charge for the mentorship, which I'm not sure exactly. I heard maybe 1,500. I don't know. But anyone that wants that
Beaver
one-on-one
told me
attention,
3,000 was realistic.
you're doing
So-
3,000. Well, you know what? I got to sharpen the saw. So I'm going to give someone the ultimate discount, ultimate experience. All right. They're doing me a favor. I get to warm it back up. So if anyone's itching for that one-on-one attention and also doesn't want to wait until May, I'm going to do it for one person. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. Whoever's interested can email me and I will pick a name out of a hat, basically. So whoever's willing to learn what they need to learn to get moving on real estate and wants that one-on-one time, I'm going to give it to them. And at the same time, it'll warm me up for the mentorship as well. So wins all around. And that was a hell of a lot more than just a rap quote.
Let's give Mitch Jaworski a round of applause. So if you're wondering why we stopped doing the mentorship, it was just because it was time consuming for me. And I realized in order for me to get this community to the next level, I had to shift myself away from being the real estate mentor and shift to really just being a community leader and supporting you as a leader to get to the next level. It had to be less the Walter Amarillo show and had to be all about Alchemist Nation itself. So each one of you is my priority going forward. And if you're a leader, then like what else would I work on? Does that make sense? Like if you're a leader, you do need to understand real estate. You do need to go through the mentorship. Like that is, if you haven't been through it before, you don't know what you're missing and it really will help. And if you have been through the mentorship before, hands can if you have been through the mentorship before and got a lot of value out of it, well, it'll be better because Mitch Jaworski's going to run it and he's more technical. He's more about the numbers. He's not so much into the mindset stuff as I am, although he will admit the mindset is everything. But he's going to go more into the technical, which is why I pulled myself out of this and put Mitch into this position. The program is designed to teach you how to do deals. Every single week, you'll be told to go submit offers. Hence, if you understand, the only way to get rich is to submit offers. If you're a real estate investor, that's the only play you have, right? Get your network and submit offers. So let's give Mitch Jaworski a round of applause for volunteering for this. The other thing is we won't be running this continuously like we used to. This will just be 6 weeks, possibly 2 times a year, because Mitch and myself are, well, we're not going to say busy, but we're retired. So we're doing this we do this a couple times just to make sure the community is okay and has the knowledge, but it's not the sort of thing that we're going to do continuously. If you want continuous anytime training, there are other coaches in Alchemist Nation who love to do coaching and training. That's just not who we are. Hence, if you understand, we do it at an extreme deal discount because we're able to do it in group and we're able to do it 1 time to 2 times a year. So it helps not having our full lives dedicated to just this one component. That being said, I like the Q&A sessions. Like Q&A to me is like the best part of Alchemist Nation. It's where we get to find out what's going on with each other. It's where we get to ask questions that everybody's thinking and we'll get the answers. And suddenly like now we're all at that next level. And I've been asking Stephen Beaver if he would run my question and answer section for me because he's a little more organized on making sure that people are on track and on task. So before I do bring Stephen on for running the Q&A, I just want to remind everybody who is a leader, by the way, hence Cam, if you're a leader, you want to be a leader, know you're a leader. Yes. And if you don't want to be broke, be a leader. in this particular economy, if you don't want to be broke, be a leader. My suggestion is get into the recession proof challenge and do it now because it starts in 2 days. It starts Monday. So my strong suggestion is get into the recession proof challenge. If you've done it before, then we'll make sure that you can get through it again. And if money is tight and you've done it before, but you're willing to create an event and a group, then and split some of the profits with us, we might be willing to put you through this for free. And Scam, if you'd be interested in running through the challenge again for free, awesome. Give everybody a big round of applause. And for anybody who has never been through the challenge, your ass ain't getting in for free. I don't trust you for shit. So that is challenge.alchemistnation.com. Go to challenge.alchemistnation.com, register now. And this will be your one shot at getting through the challenge and in time to create an event in the next 30 days, because every single month, as you can see, we're popping up events. And if somebody else pops up the event, you can't compete with them. And so if you understand, we're non-competitive. And so we won't be creating too many events within a certain market. We have to keep moving, keep shifting. There's only 3 types of events that we can create. And so once those 3 are created in a market, too bad. Move on to the next. Volunteer for each other, help each other, support each other. But ownership is, I think, 9/10 of the law. And so that is the link on the screen. It's challenge.alchemistnation.com. If you're even questioning whether you should, the answer is yes. Because I can assure you, just like leg day has passed for me 91 days in a row, and my legs look thumping like a tree trunk down there. It looks awesome now. These next 90 days will pass regardless. Take the actions, take the commitment, invest in yourself, and build and invest in other people so that you can be one of us. Be one of those people who's building 100 millionaires. By the way, you build 100 millionaires, you will become a millionaire. It's really hard to be anything other than rich when you're helping other people get rich. So let's give each one of you a big round of applause. I love and appreciate your commitment to this. Stephen Beaver, run the Q&A, brother.
All right. Couple of things first before we go down that road. We'll keep it kind of in a singular area, but we're going to go off on 2. 1, finding clients, getting paid what you're worth. You can't find them, that kind of stuff. That's simple. That's easy. We can do that. But because the theme of today is how to build millionaires quickly, and this event thing is, I have 2 superstars in here. Gary Ecker and Dorina are amazing. So if they ask a question and you guys want to jump in, I got no problem with that all day long, twice on Tuesday or Saturday. So questions for avatars or finding people or getting more efficient in your business, or what is all this going to entail for me to do? I'm going to say something that Walter doesn't know yet. I'm currently, and I came up with this Thursday, I'm going to be putting together a program, Walter approved, Dorina approved, probably even Gary approved, because he's got a lot of stuff going on, so that it will be literally by the numbers. I mean, you come in, this is what this week is going to be, this is what that week's going to be, and there's going to have fluctuations in there for speakers, for you to talk. You can take it and leave it, but it'll give you a base on what to do and how it look a little bit more organized, right? So one of the companies that I used to be with that did a lot of events, they had it every time. It was boom, 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 and people got used to it. They're like, oh, we know what's going to happen, boom, boom, boom. So you're not going to be thrown out into the wild, right? We're going to take care of you. So anyway, questions, go. Remember, we don't raise our hands. We just unmute and start talking.
Oh, first, unmute the mic wins.
Hey,
Well, I have
Walter,
a
I got a question
question.
for you.
Why is there so much damn value in this room?
As it's Alchemist Nation, let's give everybody a round of applause. That's what we built this whole company on, right? As within, so without. Go ahead.
Walter, I got a question for you. Got a question and a comment, actually. I'll lead with the question. Love the graphics on the maps of Florida and Texas. Very, very visual learning tool. Question on the circle that included, I believe it was San Antonio and Austin. I know Houston is a huge market, obviously Dallas and Fort Worth, huge. Why do you bunch those 2 together? Is Austin not, or either one of them not quite big enough for their own circle, or what's the reasoning there? But why does Austin not go with one of the other cities?
So it's actually geographic. That was primarily the reason. I was looking at the drive. You know, how far does the regional manager have to drive to support the other groups in their area? And so when I hit this region, I looked at the one you're talking about is Houston. Sorry, you're talking about
San Antonio and Austin.
San Antonio and Austin. Yep. So it only has 6 locations in it in that geographic area. So I went with how tight things are. And the reason I didn't do the same thing with El Paso, Lubbock, Amarillo, and Midland is because that whole left side was only 5 locations with just over 1 million people. So it wasn't worth its own component. and I didn't want to tie it in with the north and the south, although that may end up being what happens. We may just tie in the north and the south and just eliminate that whole west side and just have a couple of outliers that are way out there.
Okay, interesting. This deeper dive you're showing on the screen, is that something in Alchemist Nation? Is that a link we can follow up, or?
Coming soon.
Great, great. Okay. All right. And now a controversial comment, but I have to say it. As a former personal trainer, I worry every single time you tell me you're doing a consecutive day of legs. You are not supposed to train any body part every single day. So I worry about you.
I
don't wanna
love you
see
so much,
collapse.
Alan. Let me tell you where this came from. So I used to work a job. I worked this job for 2 years, and my job was to walk around the building with 600 pounds of, I was pulling these racks of bread. It was 600-pound racks, and there was 2, 3, 4 of them I would carry. And I would do this job 6 days a week for 12 hours. And at the end of it, like by the 2 years had been over, yeah, my legs were super tight. Like they were, they weren't as flexible as they should be,
Mhm.
but I had monster legs. And so I know that the body is capable of doing this kind of every single day, really hard beating on it. But what I do is nowhere near as hard as what I was doing when I was in that job. So it's more about just doing something. It's not really, I know it's not the efficient way to get my legs where I want them to go. It's just a consistent, painful exercise for me to do. It's more mental than physical.
Okay, yeah, as long as you're not beating yourself up, because the science is you need 48 to 72 hours in between, doing an exercise for a given body part. And I just don't want to see you collapse like day 150 or something.
I'm going all 365, brother. And
Okay.
it's thanks to, by the way, I want to be very clear with everybody on Alchemist Nation, it's thanks to great tips like that allow me to get through the difficult things I have no experience in. So Alan, what I was suggested by a personal trainer was this: do quads on one day, do hamstrings on the next, do glutes on, do calves on the next day, and do glutes on the final day. So 4 days. So I'm getting those 72 hours to heal the major muscle part.
Okay.
And so no, I'm not hitting them all at once. Of course, some exercises do cross over to the other ones, which is why the order with which we're doing it. So it's
Okay.
I'm a little nerdy, thanks to people like you giving me really great advice.
Well, that makes sense. And then the consistency is quite admirable. So hats off to you.
Hell yeah. Thank you. Let's give Alan a round of applause.
Lisa, your hand is up, but I can't hear you because you're muted. Unmute. Be first.
Hi. Oh,
Go ahead.
oh, me. Okay. I think that where I live is too small to run live events. So should I go to like a nearby city?
Give me a city. What city do you live in?
I live in Southbridge, but I think Worcester would be the best place to go if you don't already have somebody running events there.
I am actually looking for a Worcester business and real estate professionals host.
Yes.
Oh,
Wilkes-Barre is an excellent place. I am very familiar with it. You want to open up a meetup group immediately in Wilkes-Barre. In fact, either myself or my associate,
Hold on, you're in the
Debbie
wrong state,
Anderson,
brother.
is not Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania?
No, she's talking Massachusetts, Worcester, Mass.
Oh, I thought it was Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Never mind.
Hold on,
I'll go
I'm
back
gonna
to
check
being quiet.
Pennsylvania for you though. Now you got me thinking. Was that helpful, Alyssa? You're absolutely right. Worcester is the market that has, by the way, these markets are chosen by 100,000 population. Every real estate investor should know that if there's 100,000 population, it's a decent market, or at least that's a chance it's a decent market. Less than 100, there may not be enough inventory for you for the long term, which is why we choose the markets to build these networks in. Also, smaller networks won't have enough people for you to monetize.
Okay.
Awesome. Let's give Elisa a round of applause. Very smart question. And we're glad to have you as a leader. Now for
Okay.
Larry Steinhaus in
My
Pennsylvania.
question
Go
is
ahead.
for Mitch. He said
Get me
he was
out of-
dropping his
Get me out of
email.
Pennsylvania, will you please, Galter? I just get me out of here.
I love Pennsylvania. It's a great market for investing.
I know it happens to be a great market for investing, but it's a terrible market for weather.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I'm down here.
What part of
I know.
Pennsylvania?
I'm outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, we're not
Hey,
I'm
Mitch.
2 hours north of you. Yeah, it is nasty weather.
We
Yeah,
got a question. Let's get to the question.
Thanks,
Hey,
dude.
Mitch. You
Yes,
said you were gonna drop your email in the chat. I've been watching. I haven't seen it.
Up
you
there.
missed it because I've
You
already been
missed it.
emailed
It's
by a few people.
It's in there because I emailed.
I'll drop it
is in there.
again. I appreciate you asking though, because it's always good for a refresh. And all this Massachusetts, Florida talk, I mean Pennsylvania talk, yeah, you're all crazy. I live in Florida for a reason.
But you invest in Massachusetts.
It's right. Invest where the
Yeah,
money,
someone who
invest
grew
where
up
the
in New
deals
York.
are, live where it's comfortable and there's no taxes.
I'm with it 100%. Avoid the taxes, different taxes. Questions?
So some question, go ahead. Go ahead. If there's questions, go ahead.
So I'm gonna ask a question since no one else jumped on it. Do you are we familiar with the deferred sales trust? And would you recommend doing a transaction in a deferred sales trust over a 1031 so that way we don't have the time limit that we get on a 1031? And then my secondary question would be, what do we do to avoid recapture when we are using bonus depreciation on a property? Because when we sell, obviously we know they're going to come back for that recapture.
All right, so one, neither of these is a simple answer, but the first one is it depends, and the second one is it depends. So that's like the simplest way I could answer these. But to answer whether a DST is correct for somebody, that will depend on how old they are and their retirement goals, right? Shit, I can't even say how old they are because Larry Stone is like 100 years old and he's still growing. So, so it's not how old they are. It's, I guess, their risk tolerance, what return on investment they're looking for. Larry's not going to look for a 6% return on investment right now. So he's not going to go into a DST. He's also not looking for a 5-year, somebody else is in control of my money tied up. So a DST might not be right for him. But for Ron and I, who act much older than Larry, like emotionally, we're just like, look, I don't want to do any of the work. A DST is great for us, right? Because we just drop our money 1031 into DST and have 6% interest and not have to think about it. So it depends on where you're at as an investor and your risk tolerance, and then what you're demanding your money make you. And Ron and I have a large enough nest egg where 6% actually does quite a bit for us. It's actually okay. So it really depends on the investor. And then the other thing on the 1031 exchange, which if you're not familiar with it, a 1031 exchange is a way to defer taxes on the sale of a property. The challenges with it is there's timeline requirements. There's also it has to be at the same price or more with the same debt or more on the property. So you can't just go and buy something paid off. You'd have to buy something with still that debt, which for many investors, no big deal, except for investors in Florida are always buying land. Investors in Arizona are always buying land. So you don't want a 1031 into land because the land doesn't cash flow. And if you have a debt on it, that might become a painful asset. Hence, if you understand, there's so many different components to this that really tough question to answer. And then the other one, how to avoid basically capital gains when you've depreciated your buildings. There's a few ways to do that. Number one, and this is the most common answer from any tax professional, is die. Like that's just the strategy is you die and then you don't have to worry about it. Your family doesn't pay taxes. If you're going to sell, 1031 is the other obvious answer. But there's one that's really unique that we prefer, and we just sell the LLC because the taxes are on the LLC itself. And you're passing that deferred tax to the next person. So when they sell, they're going to pay the gain, not just on the basis of their purchase, but on the basis of our original purchase, on the LLC's original purchase.
But what if you're not? So two follow-ups to that would be when you say DST,
because it's complex.
So when you say DST, right, are you referring to the Delaware Sales Trust or the Deferred Sales Trust? Because they're two different things. And then
Got it. Yes, I was referring to a DST, Delaware Sales Trust, a deferred sales trust. That makes sense if you're okay with the delayed payments of a deferred sales trust. Gary Gluck, somebody in our community, did do a sale on a big asset he sold. He sold one of his veteran practices and did a DST, a deferred sales trust. And in that scenario, it made a lot of sense because he's able to earn back at, I think, 6% interest what he's taking. So by the time it's done, I think in 10 or 15, it's 10 years, he still has his original capital in there. So the money he made is earning at the same degree that it's paying him. So that is a phenomenal scenario for somebody who has no desire to have the money right away, also wants to have that equity capital at the end, is willing to take the 10-year payments. So again, different type of investors, different strategies, but yes, the deferred sales trust makes sense for some scenarios, but obviously it depends on where you're at.
No, that definitely makes sense. And then you said to avoid capital gains, you could essentially sell the LLC. But what if you bought it what if the properties are bought in land trust for the protection of a trust and you're not utilizing an LLC to purchase the property?
Michael Shine, let's bring out an attorney.
No. I was just waving goodbye to Richard. I'm way out on this one.
What was
So
it?
that's-
Word of her die thing up there earlier. I'm pretty sure we could always go to that one.
that would be a question I would give to an estate planner like Natalia. Natalia is very, very good with these types of questions. And unfortunately, she's not on this call, but Duran, are you able to drop Natalia's contact information in the chat? You can also find her on Alchemist Nation. What is Natalia's last name? Grice, Natalia Grice.
Hey guys, has anyone ever heard of a non-grantor irrevocable complex discretionary spendthrift trust?
I'm going to defer to.
It's a serious estate planning tool. I'm going to highly recommend you never, ever do an irrevocable trust unless there's a specific reason. And that specific trust is exactly what it's called, spendthrift trust. So you have a child who is a drug addict and you are going to leave them a bunch of money. You know that they will die 2 weeks after you leave them that money. So it has special provisions in it to make sure that they can never get to that money, unless whatever situation is. Trusts are like one of my favorite things. I actually have an attorney. I just did a whole thing at my office the other day with my attorney, and we had a blast talking about trust. But be really, really careful. Like, I don't know, Galter, I assume you're buying your houses in land trust too, right?
Massachusetts doesn't offer land trust, so we buy in
But
trust.
I actually buy it a personal. Right. Everybody calls them land trust. I don't call them land trust either. I actually use a personal property trust. But the idea is that is the only thing that you guys should be thinking about at the moment, unless you have a special needs child or a special situation, or you're doing some serious estate tax planning. No one in this room can answer those questions. These are questions you need to go and you need to think about them before you even go to your estate planning attorney and know exactly what you want and know exactly what to do. If anyone has that situation, I coach my students on what questions to ask their attorney. So actually, if you want to, I don't know if I could do this, Doctor. I'm gonna offer a free consultation. Is that okay?
Yeah, man.
Okay, so if anybody
you
has
donated a course on Alchemist Nation.
Yeah, that's right. I just didn't know. I don't know what I'm allowed to
And
say.
you asked for permission. Let's give Larry Stein.
Well, I got thrown off before, so I don't want to get thrown off again. But if anybody, honestly, if anybody wants to do if you want to talk about trust, obviously something to do, but trust is the topic here. If you want to talk about trust, I will talk to you about what questions you should ask your attorney. That's it. I can't advise you. I'm not an attorney, but I really love this stuff. It's like one of my favorite topics is trust. So just reach out to me, contactlarry.com, make an appointment with me. I don't care. There's a link in there. You can make an appointment and we'll talk about it. And I'll tell you what to ask your attorney when you go to your attorney to set up those complex trusts. And I'm assuming, Lee, because you're asking the question, you probably have something on your mind.
Thank you. I was in a meetup and someone brought it up. It was the speaker who brought up that particular kind of trust. And I took notes on it. And just based on the fact that we were talking about certain things, I thought I'd mention it. But I'm glad I did. So now we all got an education on what to avoid or how to ask the questions to our attorney.
Exactly.
Like, are you waving or are you saying?
No,
are you
now I'm
jumping
talking. I just feel we've gone down a rabbit hole. We're out in left field. Don't overcomplicate this stuff. I totally agree with Larry. But where you are in your career, especially I've spoken to Tasheen before, the solutions will come to you when you get into that specific situation. So to try to, like, I remember when I first started working in a law firm in California, day one, I didn't have a case, and the partner said, read the California statutes. It's like, you can't read the California statutes unless you have something to apply it to. So like on day one in the library, I fell asleep. Don't tell my boss. It was just, it had no application. So you get a situation and then you speak to a lawyer, or you speak to someone like Larry with, who can sort of guide you in the right direction. But to try to encompass the whole thing, just get the deal. That's the first thing. Get the deal and move along. Some people show up, the solutions always show up, the right type of vehicle always shows up.
as long as you have a network?
Yes, truth, network.
Give Mike Shine and Larry Steinhaus a round of applause. Great questions. Let's give Stephen Bieber a round of applause. Great job on handling the Q&A.
Hang on a second. I want to do just a couple of things.
Yep.
First of all, I want to ask a question. How many of you would like to be able, or would have 3 hours a month, just 3 hours a month, to just shake hands and be nice to people? Raise your hand. Hands up. Awesome. Okay. That's all you're doing at these events. You shake hands, you be nice. You don't even need to talk. Like I said, we can bring in speakers, right? We're going to have a template. You can have, like Walter, he would have Dorina probably do it. He'd rather not be out there doing it, right? Okay, so you can find people to do it. But the host, I'll just let you know this, the host, which is what you're going to be, the person is just shaking hands, being nice, is going to have the most face time. And whoever has the most face time is the one people are going to go to ask questions, to have deals, and you're going to be in the middle of it. The other thing is, these can be done in the morning, afternoon, or evening. So wherever your 3 hours are, it's your 3 hours, right? You don't worry about your avatar being able to come. You set up the time. Those people that can make it will make it. There'll always be somebody who says, I can't make it in the morning. I can only do in the evening, or I can't do it in the evening. I can in the morning. So you're going to be able to set up your own time. So there's a lot of freedom in this, what I'm saying, for you guys to be able to really do it. And all you got to do to be able to make that money is 3 hours once a month.
Right, that's right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Let's give Stephen Bieber a round of applause. It's a good point. It's a good
Like it
point.
very much. Now pass that jelly donut.
Yeah, actually, you know what's funny about these live events? Who's gone to live events? Hands cam if you've gone to live events and to like totally feel like you crushed it. Hands cam if you do feel like you've been in one where you crushed. Just really close to the camera. I want to see my people who've really crushed it. Right? There's a few of us, right? There's a few of us out there who like feel like we're champions at this stuff. Hands cam if you've been to live events and feel like you did not crush it. Like you let one down. Anybody not done well at a live event? Okay, hands camera if you don't want to put your hand up to admitting that you failed at a live event. Anybody on the call ever fail and don't want to admit it? There's a few of you. Okay, I have failed more times at live events than I have succeeded, but I have been to more live events than most people, and so it's given me a really great opportunity to succeed in a big way. And the only reason I know you is because of a live event. Hands cam if you've met me at a live event before. Spend some time with me there. Maybe it's not how you found me, but you've met me there and spent some time. And the only reason we're still in this relationship is because of that connection, because of that one time. And I actually enjoy this relationship, even if I don't enjoy driving to the event. Who here has had anxiety on the way there to the event? Like, I don't want to go. This is a waste of my time. I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing other things. I could be doing so many other things right now. So weird that we all experience the same exact feeling, and yet we've all shown up and all benefited. Hands cam if you met somebody that changed your life at an event, gave you an opportunity, gave you money, gave you a deal, gave you knowledge, gave you information, you got something from one of these live events. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I had to say that as an introvert. Yes, Ron and I drew straws on who would speak at our events, and Ron was he was faster than me to say I'm not doing it. Like he was like that much faster. to say I'm not doing it. But I was like, I don't want to do it. And then every so often I'd be like, bro, like, can you take it this time? And he will be sick. He'll have to go to the bathroom. Oh, my car's stuck. Like anytime I'm like, bro, like, can you run the event? He's like, you'll find a way to get there in his head. So even if you do believe that you're not meant to speak, you know, Mitch Dorsey says it all the time, like, oh, I don't want to, you know, but he shows up and he speaks, and Mike Shine speaks, and Larry speaks, and Larry pays to speak, and Steven speaks, right? Each one of us, and even Mark Dozwa, you know, introvert Mark Dozwa, right? The guy behind Alchemist Connect. When the summit came up, he said, what do I have to talk about? Like he was ready to speak. Right? I did the speaking, but the point was that he was willing to. Who here is willing to do a little talking to make sure that you make the money you're supposed to make? Right, this year. I see some of you got your kids on the screen right now. So your kids are here with you. Like, do it for them. Right? Do it for them. Get out of our comfort zones. Have that conversation with people, because at the end of the day, I don't want to go back home and tell Dorina I didn't make the money. Fuck no, I don't have that in me. I don't know how some people do this. They go home to their spouse and be like, oh yeah, it didn't work out today. Holy shit, I won't go home. And it's not because she'll beat me because she's Russian, or that I won't wake up the next day. I don't know how to be that person who can admit defeat, right? If I'm going out to a networking event, I'm going to win. I'm going to meet the right people. I'm going to add value. I'm going to find the person. I've been to networking events where all of us are competitors, right? I was in a mastermind. I paid a lot of money to be in a mastermind. We were all competitors, all literally competing with each other. I had no clue how to add value to all of my competitors, right? All these people who were in the same space as me, building software, being a coach, being mentors. And it wasn't until about 6 months into, I kept going though. I kept showing up. It wasn't about 6 months that I realized, oh my God, I'm going to build all the stages, because all these guys want to do is speak on stages. I'll build all the stages across the country and give them a stage to speak on, so we can build millionaires together. And that's, you know, it took me 6 months of networking with a bunch of guys. I had no way of solving any of their problems. Didn't even know, like, we had no way to work with each other. And it's Karen, if you understand, it doesn't matter if you commit to solving problems, you'll solve problems. You can figure it out. So that being said, it's Saturday. I'm going to ask you to go out there and do a Facebook Live. Get out of your comfort zone. Pull out the phone. Get the camera out. Let the world know that you here, that you exist, that you're different, that you're unique, that you're special. And maybe if you don't feel that way, tell them that they are. Right? Pull out the phone and just say, you know what? You're friends with me on my personal Facebook. You're on my profile right now. You're looking at me, and I want you to know that you're important to me, that you're special, that the fact that you're connected with me means you might be connected with a future millionaire. The fact you're connected with me right now might mean that you're connected with somebody who's about to build 100 millionaires. I want each one of you to pull out your phone as soon as this logs off. As soon as we shut this down, pull out your phone, go Facebook Live, and tell the world that you're committed to, one, being a millionaire, and two, helping others get there. 100 people. You will not end this mission until you've built 100 millionaires. And the world will ask you questions. You can direct them to me. No problem. I got all the answers on how to build millionaires. You just tell them, look, I'm doing it, right? This guy's doing it. I'm doing it with him. And if you understand, I'm going to show you the way. I'm going to make sure I'm going to hold you accountable, each one of you, because that's the 3 steps. Knowledge, network, and accountability. I will hold you accountable to build millionaires. In order to build a millionaire, they must have a network, they must have the knowledge, and they must be held accountable to get there. Hence, if you're committed to following the process. Excellent. So right after this call, do a Facebook Live and invite the world. Invite your small, by the way, you got a small friends list. It's a very small friends list. And you got a small group of followers. Very few are even going to watch your feed. So I wouldn't worry about it. Trust me when I say you might get 1 or 2 of your friends on that feed saying, wow, really cool. And if you get nobody on your feed, I'm going to let you know the new problem you have. Nobody fucking knows you. And when you realize, when you do your first Facebook Live, that nobody is on that Facebook Live, you start realizing the truth, the reality of the true problem is obscurity. Your real enemy is the fact that nobody knows you and what you do, and who you are, and how to pay you. Hence, can't you recognize that's the biggest problem in the world? They just don't know a way. They can't beat a path to your door because they don't know where the door is or why they need it. but I want you to change that. Hence, Camp, you committed to changing that this year? That's what the Recession Proof Challenge is all about. We're starting on Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The RPC will help you change your positioning in the marketplace. The world will know that you, one, are going to be a millionaire or already are. We're going to make it very clear. And then two, that you're building 100 millionaires. Now, if a person doesn't want to be a friend with somebody who's building millionaires, guess what? They just saved you a bunch of time and trouble. Because if they don't want to be a millionaire and hang with millionaires, then they will never be a millionaire and they will hold you back. But I'll tell you this, what I've discovered from all my millionaire friends and the 24 we've built personally in Alchemist Nation as a community, as a tribe, they are the greatest people that you can spend time with. They are the most fun. They're the most knowledgeable. They care more and have time to spend with their families than all those people working jobs. Hence, if you're tired of working a job and ignoring your family, putting your family on the sidelines, tired of seeing other people do the same thing, all right, then we got to go get the wealth. We got to get there, right? We got to put the work in. These next 6 months are the work. By the way, if you think I'll do an event next year, the opportunity will be gone. I promise you on everything that I'm good at, that we will get this built within the next 6 months, and then there will be no opportunity left. Hence, can't you understand? That's what dominating a space is called, right? It's like Elon Musk. I'm telling you, like people, I was asked the other day, well, why is it only 300 cities? Because that's all there fucking is. It's a limited amount of cities in a limited amount of country, right? This land is limited. And there's the other question I keep getting asked. Well, why is, like, what happens once you hit that? That's it. Elon Musk only has Tesla, right? There's only so many models of vehicle that he can build. That's all there is. After that, he's not starting other companies. Well, I mean, Elon Musk is an anomaly, but Tesla is not starting other companies. There's a limited amount of types of things that can be done in this world. And after that, the space is dominated, right? Good luck with every car manufacturer trying to chase Tesla at this point. They were there first. They got their biggest, fastest, and now their branding is the tightest and strongest in the space. Nobody can compete with them. Hence, can't you understand that's how we're doing it? We'll go biggest, fastest, best, and then anybody who tries to come in afterwards is just hitting the wall of the pre-existing brand, the pre-existing community. And for each one of you who owns a business and asks me, well, why should I run an Alchemist Nation event instead of running my own personal event? Is because Alchemist Nation is just a better brand. That's all we do is we run the brand. And your company is a sponsor. Now, a company that is a sponsor to a pre-existing brand now is elevated higher. It's now over the Alchemist Nation brand. Does that make sense? We understand that your company is elevated, a separate. Nobody's going to come to you because of your real estate brokerage. Oh, EXP, you know, we're doing an EXP event. You know what that means? Avoid event. Ask if you already feel that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You see an EXP event, you're like, I'm not going, because they're going to try to pitch me to be EXP. Or they're going to try to pitch me to use them as their real estate agent. Do not use your company to promote events. Use a exterior brand like Alchemist Nation to promote your events and build community in an honest, trustworthy, fun way, and then have your brand positioned as a sponsor, as an authority at the pre-existing event. This is positioning, my friends. This is the ultimate positioning, even though you own both companies. This is like Coca-Cola and Sprite, owned by Coca-Cola. It's like Coca-Cola and Monster energy drink, owned by Coca-Cola. Hence, can't you understand? You just set up a different brand to create and draw, but then you have the other brands around to do the work. So it's a fun world, fun game. I love each and every one of you. I want to see this mission all the way through. We've got a few more years left before the big opportunities in real estate are really available. We've got to build our network fast, wide, deep, go strong, and have a lot of fun, make a lot of money. Cheers to your success. We have a choice. Always work with the best.
Baby. Keep building.
The best, the best, the best.
That's it.
Hey,
Walter,
Appreciate you,
Walter,
brother.
we're jumping in the training, and not the training, in our Zoom.
Yep. I'll see you over there, brother.